여러분 반갑습니다. I'm Kwon So-hwa and this is K-Culture Dive. Join us in taking a deep dive into the heart of Korean culture, from K-entertainment to AI news, and an expert's look at Korean cinema at the Cannes Film Festival. So with that, let's dive in. And joining us on today's show is Walter Lee. Happy Friday, Walter.
Happy Friday, Seo, and hello to everyone joining us on K-Culture Dive today. I'm Walter Lee, here to co-host alongside Seo, and of course bring you the latest in K-entertainment stories.
All right, let's start with K-Enter News then, Walter. And our first story is about a special K-pop appearance at the upcoming American Music Awards.
Indeed it is, Seo. So BTS will attend the American Music Awards taking place at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. Now this year, the boys earned nominations for Artist of the Year, Best Male K-pop Artist, and Song of the Summer with their main track, Swim. Now, the AMAs actually hold a special significance for BTS as back in 2017, BTS made their US television debut with a performance of DNA on the AMA stage, becoming the first Korean group ever to perform at the awards show. Now, since then, BTS have collected a whopping 11 AMA trophies, including Artist of the Year and Favorite K-pop Artist. Their 11 wins are the second most by any group in AMA history.
Incredible. And we're going to stay on the topic of BTS,
Yes.
but focus on one member.
Yes, one member indeed. So Jungkook is continuing his impressive run on Spotify with his 2023 solo debut single, 7, and his first solo album, Golden. Now, 7 actually climbed to number 84 on Spotify's weekly Top Songs Global Chart for May 8th to the 14th. This makes it 148 straight weeks on the chart, extending its record as the longest charting song by an Asian solo act. Meanwhile, Golden rose to number 102 on Spotify's weekly Top Albums Global Chart. The album has now remained on the chart for 132 straight weeks, marking another record as the longest charting album by an Asian solo act. Golden recently surpassed 7.1 billion total streams on Spotify, becoming the most streamed studio album by an Asian artist in the platform's history. Now, as of Friday, 7 stands at number 63 on Spotify's all-time most streamed songs ranking. Jungkook's Spotify profile has now accumulated more than 10.9 billion total streams across all credits.
Wow, what an achievement there. And Walter, we're going to end up with a Korean movie that someone sitting here at the desk watched yesterday.
Wasn't me.
It was me.
Yes, indeed. So I did actually hear you and Bella talking about it yesterday and how excited you were to see the movie Colony, or Guntae in Korean. But so did you know that you actually took part in a bit of K-movie history? Because Colony claimed the #1 spot at the Korean box office on its very first day in theaters. Now, according to the Korean Film Council's box office tracking system on Friday, Colony drew just over 199,000 viewers on opening day alone, reaching a cumulative audience total of 218,295-ish, and taking first place at the Korean box office. Now, the movie is the latest project from director Yeon Sang-ho, who is known for his other very great zombie films such as Train to Busan, Busan-haeng, and Peninsula Pando.
Well, I am very happy that I contributed to one of the 218,295 people.
You were at 5.
And we're going to talk more about this movie actually with our movie expert in a bit. But thanks for the updates, Walter, and stick around.
Will do.
All right, now we move on to our AI anchor Arirang for more on the culture front. Arirang.
Thanks, Swa. Here's your AI guide to the latest cultural headlines from Korea. Let's begin with our top story. The 17th Culture Communication Forum was held Thursday at the Italian Embassy in Seoul. Established in 2010 by the Korea Image Communication Institute, the forum aims to promote Korean culture globally and encourage cross-cultural dialogue. This year's event drew diplomats based in Korea, including Italian Ambassador Emilia Gatto, Belgian Ambassador Bruno Jans, and Singaporean Ambassador Wang Kai-jun, along with cultural and business leaders, including Yu Jing, chairman of the Federation of Korean Industries. The program featured a Hidden Talents Challenge, where participants showcased their talents, and a car news contest exploring themes such as the future of Korean culture and the competitiveness of K-content in the AI era. The Korean Culture Expo, aimed at helping Korean wave-related businesses expand overseas, will be held in the United States for the first time. The Culture Ministry will host the event dubbed K-Expo USA 2026 in Los Angeles from Saturday through next Wednesday in partnership with related ministries. The event will promote exports tied to K-content, K-food, K-cosmetics, and other industries. Previously held across Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, the expo will make its US debut this year. The event will also feature cutting-edge K-culture technologies, emerging trends, interactive experiences, and K-pop performances. Foreign tourist arrivals to South Korea hit a record high in the first 4 months of the year. According to the Culture Ministry, foreign arrivals reached more than 6.7 million through April, up 21% from a year earlier, which is the highest figure ever recorded for the January-April period. After topping 2 million monthly foreign visitors for the first time in March, Korea extended the streak to 2 straight months. The tourism boom has also fueled spending, with foreign visitors spending more than 6 trillion won, or nearly $4 billion through April. That's all from me. Turning now to a quick look at more K-culture stories making headlines today.
Artist Seo Eun-hye, who got her big break as an actor in the drama Our Blues, has visited the southeastern coastal city of Ulsan. Alongside her exhibition, she met with students to share honest reflections on life and dreams. Kim Seo-young has more.
Beautiful paintings filled with different faces and stories. This is Seo Eun-hye's special exhibition held at Ulsan Educational and Cultural Center for Students. Her work explores relationships moving beyond the boundaries between those with and without disabilities. The message resonates deeply with students in special education. For students who love to draw, the exhibition becomes more than just something to see. It opens up new ways of thinking about numerous possibilities.
It's really special to see her work. I hope I can create art that feels just as unique and meaningful.
This exhibition also featured a talk session, where Seo took to the stage herself to share her personal story and meanings behind her work. Around 300 students and parents attended, taking part in open conversations about life and dreams. She told them, dreams aren't something you achieve someday, but something you live with as if they are already fulfilled, offering a message of hope.
Keep drawing. To become an artist, you need to believe that your dreams are already real.
More than just a lecture, the event created a space for students to reflect on themselves and better understand others through art.
We wanted students to hear directly from the artist and connect with her work in a meaningful way. We hope this experience inspires new dreams.
Through this free exhibition, messages of comfort and empathy delivered through art quietly resonate with students, opening up new possibilities and building their confidence. Kim Seo-young, Arirang News.
One of Korea's most iconic comfort foods, tteokbokki. Rice cake or wheat-based rice cake. Black bean sauce, curry, creamy rosé, or even mala. You could also add ramyeon, dumplings, or cheese for a twist. But despite all the variations, the first thing Koreans think of when it comes to tteokbokki is the classic drenched in red gochujang. The fiery red tteokbokki we know today isn't an age-old tradition. Tteokbokki was originally a soy sauce-based royal dish cooked with beef and vegetables, served to Joseon kings. savory, refined, and not spicy at all. So where did the red heat come from? The modern version took off after the Korean War in Seoul's Shindang-dong, thanks to Ma Bong-mim, widely known as the grandmother of tteokbokki. Legend has it, she accidentally dropped rice cakes into black bean sauce at a Chinese restaurant, and the taste worked. Inspired, she later replaced the pricey black sauce with red gochujang and struck gold. What began as a little accident became something much bigger. Post-war flour aid led to the rise of cheap wheat rice cakes, helping tteokbokki spread quickly through the streets of war-torn Korea. A dish shaped by post-war hardship and vibrant street food culture. A fusion of royal tradition and modern street fare. Tteokbokki is more than just its bold red flavor. It's a story of resilience, one that still connects generations and cultures, one fiery bite at a time.
One of the world's most prestigious film festivals, the Cannes Film Festival in southeastern France, is approaching its finale. Among the many highly anticipated films unveiled one by one on this global stage, Korean films have also drawn significant international attention there. Let's discuss the presence and achievements of Korean cinema at the 79th Cannes Film Festival with filmmaker and Professor Jae So of Seoul Institute of the Arts. Welcome back, Professor So.
Hello, Professor So.
Good to be here.
All right, Professor So. At this year's Cannes Film Festival, it looks like Korea's presence is pretty big there, especially when it comes to genre films. So how do you see the atmosphere currently, and also why do you think Korean films are drawing significant attention?
Well, Cannes Film Festival has been very kind of friendly towards Asian cinema, especially Korean cinema, for a long time. And this year we have like 4 films there. We have Hope, a movie called Hope, another one called The Colony, and then there's a movie called Dora, not to be confused with the animation, a Korean version, and then Rhapsody of a Bird. So we have 4 films there. And then the other special thing is the jury president happens to be a Korean director, one of our best, Park Chan-wook. So already Cannes is sort of primed for Korean cinema before we get started. And as you mentioned, the genre films this year have been very strong. So we have basically Hope, which is about sort of science fiction, alien type of like disaster movie, and then Colony, which is like a zombie movie that's happening. So it's kind of like a weird situation where like 2 big genres have like collided together at the Cannes Film Festival.
Right.
Let's go into detail about one of my favorite horror genres, which is zombie. I love zombie movies, and let's talk about, obviously, Yoon Sang-ho's Colony, which premiered in the non-competition section. The film has received great reactions from Cannes and has even been described as presenting a new style of zombie cinema. I haven't gotten around to see it, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's also weirdly attracted a lot of viewers to go around the festival walking like zombies for some reason. But how did you interpret this response?
Well, I went to see it actually. You saw it too, right?
Yes, I did.
So it was the opening night yesterday, so I went to see it. And yeah, it's a very unusual film for a genre. But we have to go back to Yoon Sang-ho, the director. He directed Train to Busan, which kind of like basically changed the zombie lore by kind of creating an Asian or a Korean style zombie movie. And he sort of like made it more sophisticated this time because it's sort of like in the AI era. So now the zombies have a collective mind. They're able to like sort of evolve and bring in like signals from around. They're not like these like really, dumb, mindless monsters, but they have a collective sort of intelligence akin to like ants. It's actually said in the movie itself. So it's a real big twist, and also the fact that the audiences just saw it as like this. It was a midnight screening. I heard after the screening, it was like a 7-minute standing ovation. Cannes very famous for these applauses, and apparently the audiences really took to it because it's not just, again, Yoon Sang-ho's not making like a monster movie or horror movie per se, but all of his movies have this genre like with a spin on it, usually about Korean society or about just like what's happening that's culturally relevant. So I think this movie really hit a chord, and hopefully, I heard it's doing really well here in Korea as well as a result of Cannes, excellent reviews.
Right. Now, as you mentioned, director Yeon Sang-ho, he has kind of established a Korean-style zombie genre. And apart from the things that you just mentioned, could you elaborate on what is different in this one? Any particular elements that stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, just the zombies themselves, you know, usually zombies are like, they walk a certain way, they look menacing, they make these growling sounds. You have that, but I found the sort of the acrobatics of these zombies to be wonderful. I mean, we just had 20 years later where you have these zombies running, but more than running zombies, I like these zombies that are, when they fall down backwards, they fall and twist their body and attack again. And they also exude this kind of like white, kind of milky substance that's everywhere. And it was really like gooey. You know, the whole feeling was like kind of like akin to like watching something in an amusement park or something like that. And I thought it was really funny because I happen to be a professor. Yes. And in the story, there's so many professors. You have, you know, like the professor's the first one that gets bitten. And then you also have Kyu-go-an, who's the evil guy. He's like, I guess he's a doctor with PhD. And then the main character played by Chun Jin is a professor, and her friend is a professor. So I was almost joking, like this movie could be called Bad Professor or something like that. So just, but again, you know, Yeon Sang-ho was kind of taking sort of authority figures like professors or policemen or government officials, and sort of showing how, you know, these people are like, they have a lot of power in society, and they make wrong choices or moral choices that affect everybody. So it's a really effective way of using genre to talk about what's happening in Korean society, or any society for that matter.
Right. Professor So, you just mentioned the acrobatic moves of the zombies. I also was fascinated by how some of the zombies, like 3 or 4 zombies, were attached to each other and moved together. That was fascinating.
Yeah, a wall of them.
Exactly, yeah. So that too, there was also a wall of a lot of zombies together. But I also have to agree with you that there was a focus on how a slight, maybe also critical points regarding maybe governments and policemen, as you said, and also I liked how you had that analogy of bad professors.
Yeah.
But of course, there are bad and good professors in the movie. So yeah, I really had also have to mention, as I watched it on day one, it was a very great movie. Just I mean, just as a regular watcher as well, I have to say.
Right, right. And obviously it shows here in Korea already, as I said earlier in K-Enter, that it rose to #1 spot in the Korean box office basically straight away as soon as it was released. You did mention a little bit earlier that it could be some influence from Cannes. Like, could you probably elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it's been on social media and the news that, you know, Yeon Sang-ho is there with his stars, Chun Ji-yeon, everybody that's starring in the movie, including Kyu-go-an. So there was a buzz about that movie, the fact that it had a 7-minute standing ovation. These things are like, everybody starts to know. So I think that synergy of releasing at Cannes worked with the release now. And, you know, basically yesterday was the opening night, but they already had 20,000, you know, 200,000 audience members flock to it. And that's actually a score that's faster than even, you know, the King's Warden or like what's happening with the Devil Wears Prada 2, movies like that that are big hits in Korea, and it's on pace to do really well. So I think in a case where nowadays, you know, it used to be in the past where if you sent a movie to Cannes or Venice or Berlin, it was just, you know, a separate item where, you know, oh, you know, Korean film wins an award, but now social media, everybody's aware of it on the internet. If you hit the YouTube, all of that's on there, all the actors talking about it, and I think it's really helping to sort of generate interest in the audiences here domestically.
All right, now let's shift over to the other big movie that's been in the headlines, Hope, by director Na Hong-jin. And this is actually the only Korean movie that's in the competition section at Cannes. And it did receive some divided responses. And I think some are even calling it a bold and provocative masterpiece. So what are your expectations of it?
Well, you know, absolutely. I think Na Hong-jin's a director that was already kind of going in this direction. His movies started with The Chaser, and ended with I think the last one domestically was The Wailing, which is another kind of genre movie. Some call it also a zombie movie type of thing. But this time it's you know, Hope is a sci-fi movie based in sort of like right in a little village right up against the North Korean border. So you already have this kind of like international intrigue going on, and it also has SF, you know, sci-fi elements in it. And I think, as you mentioned, I think Yeon Sang-won's film got a 7-minute standing ovation. After the screening at Cannes, it got a 6-minute standing ovation. So
I heard there were some different figures actually, Walter.
Yeah,
we reported on that before.
Like 6, 7, 5.
Right. 6, 7.
Yeah, exactly, 6, 7.
But at the same time, I think even the sort of the harshest critics that have talked about, maybe the CG wasn't really up to par or the storytelling was a little, disorderly. But at the same time, everybody's sort of talked about how the energy of the film. Also, you have, actors like Cho In-sung, Hwang Jung-min, Jung Ho-young, and you have an international cast. You have, Michael Fassbender and also Alicia Vikander. These are like, big stars who have like been in other like Hollywood movies, like like the Marvel franchise and all that stuff. So, having these international casts is also helping with this movie, and I think it's just I see on YouTube what's funny is like people reacting just to the trailer.
Oh.
Just saying like, wow, this is like because it's just the trailer is really well made. Of course, it doesn't really show you the creature per se, but I think it kind of adds to the mystique. And I'm hoping with he has more time to edit and do post-production on it, so the criticism about the bad VFX could be fixed by the time the movie comes out, I guess in July in Korea.
Yeah, we did report on it yesterday or the day before yesterday that he does plan to refine it. He said in his.
I mean, he was rushed to send it to Cannes. So.
Yeah, right.
Exactly, but nevertheless, do you think we can actually hope for a Palme d'Or, just like Parasite by director Bong Joon-ho?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because, the Cannes Film Festival is kind of, the jury really kind of determines who wins. And we have the hopes with director Park Chan-wook as the president of the jury, and yet, he wants to be fair, and I don't think he will show any kind of favoritism per se. But I think what I really find fascinating about Na Hong-jin's film is that, Cannes used to be more of kind of an arty kind of, they would give, like big awards to sort of movies that weren't exactly commercial movies. But now it's kind of switching its gears a little bit. And I think in some ways, this is the most expensive Korean movie that's ever been made. But the way they look at it is kind of like another cult film. And it likens back to, like Bong Joon-ho's The Host, which was another like a monster movie back in the day that was a huge hit domestically, but in the West they saw it as like this cult movie, like an expensive cult movie, things like that. So I think audiences are also, I think it's showing as Park Chan-wook as the jury president that Korean movies are taken really seriously now. It's not just a niche kind of like, some culture that makes good movies, but I think it's sort of like, how K-pop and K-dramas are taken seriously all around the world. K-movies now have a presence, I think, at any festival, and everybody takes sort of like, the press, the audience, they're really excited to see it. So I think hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll have a good chance at winning. But I think I'm hoping he might get the Best Director award, at least. Yeah.
I mean, Director Na has been a filmmaker that Cannes has been paying consistently attention to. We'll have to see.
Yeah. And everyone keeps saying that Park Chan-wook's being the director of this jury may be an advantage, but I could also see it as a disadvantage as well, where he feels a little bit of pressure of bias, and he may not give as much of a higher score as he wants to, just so he doesn't look like he's giving the Korean film more credit than it maybe deserves. But anyway, we're already on the subject of Park Chan-wook. Following his Best Director win for Decision to Leave back in 2022, he has now become the very first Korean jury president at Cannes, in Cannes history, and has also received what's called France's Commander in Order of Arts and Letters. How do you interpret Park's long-standing relationship with Cannes?
Well, he's been a favorite of that festival. His movie Old Boy was recognized there, and then, movies like The Handmaiden, and also, like No Other Choice or Decision to Leave have always sort of had a spot there. So, and I heard from, a lot of news reports that Director Park also said, he's not only just honored to be the jury president, also, receiving the award, but he feels that it's time for him to give back to to the French sort of like art world or the cinema world, and the French really love movies. So it's a sort of like a two-way love story that's happening. And he's even joked that he might make a movie in French, the French language, and I would love to see that because, again, you know, like that generation, you know, Director Park, he really was influenced by the French New Wave. You know, classic French cinema has really influenced so many great directors, and his works show parts of that. But after all, like, you know, he's one of the directors where his movies are very complex, layered narratives that I think any cinema in the world have always like thought this guy has the stuff, is recognized as one of the best directors. So, you know, his stay at Cannes, it seems not at all out of place. Yeah.
All right, Professor Seo, that's all the time we have today. Thank you very much for your insights as always, and have a fantastic weekend. And also, please follow the results of Cannes over the weekend.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Thank you very much. And thank you, Walter, as always. So we're going to have you back here next week.
See you soon.
Thanks for watching and for your interest in everything K-Culture. K-Culture Dive will be back on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Korea time after an extended Buddha's birthday holiday. Have a culture-filled weekend and keep diving.